What is up, guys? In this tutorial we're going to be going over clipping masks, blend modes, and as well as grouping layers, merging layers, and merging things all together in general. Um, so we're going to be doing something that looks like this. If you're looking at this and it's like, hey, this looks very familiar, it's because I'm using the exact same concept as our previous tutorial to create this, just to kind of let your brain know that there's multiple ways of using techniques. So keep that in mind as you're designing your stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is continue working with the same size and dimensions that we've been working with. Make sure that it is pixels. Make sure it's 1920 by 1080. Make sure your resolution is set to 150. And make sure that you set this to RGB color. I'm just going to go ahead and title my project right now and name it Name Poster Clipping Mask. Yeah, so that way I know that it's my name and it's a poster and it's for clipping masks. So just again, 1920, 1080, 150, and RGB color. If you hear a noise in the background, that is my dog. Yes, she's drinking water. Okay, so once we have this, the first thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and set our background. So there's multiple ways of doing that. You can, grab your gradient and just throw in a gradient like this, or you can come down here and add a gradient and then adjust your gradient accordingly and do all this stuff in here. If you do it this way, the cool thing about it is you can always come back and change it. So say if I do this, I click OK, yes, and then later I'm like, hey, you know what? I like the way it looks, but I don't want it blue. You double click here, and you can always make a change. So that's the cool thing about using your adjustment layers in here. You can always make changes. If I were to come over here and say, hey, I like the way that looks exactly, but now I want it, I want it red. So I'd come over here and switch it over to red. Okay, but if I do it differently, hey, it doesn't look the same anymore. I have to make sure that I try to do it correctly, and all these things can go wrong. So yes, I would prefer in general just use an adjustment layer. So we'll go ahead and go to gradients, go ahead and switch it to this one, and then in here we'll switch it to radio. We'll switch this over to 150, I believe is the highest you all can go, and we'll reverse it, and then we'll go ahead and switch this black color maybe to like kind of like right here, 8E. Let's try that. Yeah, that looks I'd like to maybe put it in the blue area and bring it in a little bit this way to kind of get a blue tone in there, and click OK, and OK, and OK. So here we go, we have a little gradient. Next thing we'll do is type our name, right? So we'll go ahead and type in our name. I'll put Hector, and I'm using Nexa Bold, but you guys can use whatever font you want. If you want to download a font, go ahead and go to dafont.com and you can download a font from there. I'm using Nexa Bold, and I'll go ahead and continue with that one. So here we go, Hector. Again, remember, if you're holding shift, well, don't apply. Control T is how you get your transform tools, and if you're holding shift, you can extend it this way, and if you hold alt and shift at the same time, you can do it from the center point. So I'll go ahead and put this in like this. That looks kind of cool, right around there. Okay, and then the next thing is to do clipping mask, which is the fun part, right? So I'm gonna go to File and Place, and I'm actually gonna place an image that I already have, an image I took. So this one right here of my city landscape, I'll go ahead and place that. Once I place it, I have to click OK. Now, in previous tutorials, some of my students have been going to File, Open, or just dragging the picture in, and I keep mentioning you have to rasterize your image. And then you say, sir, I can't rasterize my image. That's because you didn't place. So if you placed the image, you have to rasterize. If you didn't place your image and it doesn't let you rasterize, that means it's already rasterized. So don't worry about it. So I'll go ahead and rasterize my image, right click and put create clipping mask. So the moment I do that, now it's inside my text. So I'm just gonna kind of put it here to kind of see some of those buildings a little bit. That looks okay. Then I'll go ahead and click on my T layer right here, the Hector layer. Right click on that, go to blending options, and I'll go ahead and just add a drop shadow. So by adding a drop shadow, it gives it this cool little effect. I have it at 228. The numbers will vary depending on what size you decided to make your type, and then just click OK. Now, here is some of the things where you guys we're a little new to, and I'd like to show you what each one does. So right now I have this layer selected, which is on top of Hector. If I right click on it, I can go to merge visible or flatten the image. If I put flatten the image, it flattens all my layers together into one. If that's what you're trying to do, maybe you're done with your assignment and you want to flatten your image and save it as a JPEG, that's fine. That would come in handy there. But say, you know, I remove this gradient. This is now hidden, right? Because the eyeball is off. I can also right click and I can put merge visible. Merge visible is only going to merge all the layers that are visible. So if I click merge visible, now all my layers got merged to my background, but this gradient, it's still in its layer on its own. You see? So that's what that does right there. And then we also have, if I maybe make a shape, let's see here. I'm going to grab a shape and just add maybe a line down here. Just like that, and okay that. I can right click, and that doesn't work like that. Nope. Okay, so let's just go ahead and continue. Don't worry about the other one. It might be a CS5, but it doesn't appear to be showing up here. But they'll also show up one that says merge down. That means that it's going to merge the top layer to the bottom layer, and those two will merge together. So, you know, a lot of them, it's experimenting, see what they do, but don't freak out if something happens that is not what you intended to do. Remember, there's a history and you can go back in your history box. If you don't remember how to do that, you go to Windows, pop up your history, and here's all your steps that you were doing. So don't freak out when you make a mistake, just go back in your history. Second thing, let's look at our design over here, is we added my last name. So I'll go ahead and type here and type Gonzalez. And I'm typing it kind of small and then trying to center it into my type. Then I get my shape tool. And with my shape tool, I'm going to create a little line on this side. Now, a lot of students kept asking me, how do you make a copy of the shape? Now, you all like to work with these things on. I hate those things. I don't like seeing them. The show transform controls. I don't like seeing them because whenever I want to make a copy, if I hold Alt on my keyboard, you can see the mouse turns into a black and white. That means that when I click on it and drag, I can make an exact copy of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove that and show you what happens when you have your transform tools. If you hold Alt, you get this little thing and you start moving that little line or that little dot, and then you start freaking out. What happened? You have to actually do that. If you have those things on, you have to zoom in so you can actually be able to hold that shape. Make sure you have a cancel here. Make sure you have the selection here, and when you're inside the shape, that's when you'll be able to see them. Because if you're here, you'll notice it doesn't show up. You need to see those double arrows. So that's why I prefer to not work with the show transforms. By the way, I'm using Control plus and Control minus to zoom in into the area that I'm working with. And a little shortcut for when you're zoomed in, if you hold space bar, a little hand pops out and you can click and drag. That's just for some of you that don't know this little shortcut. It's very handy and it's amazing. You'll love it. Okay, so after we've done this, now we're gonna work with those little arrows that I put down here at the bottom. Those little arrows are just going down into your shape tool, and then you go into your custom shapes. Make sure that you go and show all of them. Once you show all of them, I was using these arrows, and then I just clicked one arrow right there, and then I made a copy of that arrow and I just put it there. From there I made hold on, okay, let's remove those. Something happened here. Okay, so just let's retry that because okay, so might as well show you already here. So we have this guy here and I want to merge it with this one. So I'm gonna hold Control, or you can also hold Shift and select both of them and right click, and I'm going to put merge layers. Mine says merge shapes because they're shapes, but in your case it would say merge layers because you don't want to merge visible. You have everything visible right now and you don't want to flatten your image, so you just want to merge the two current layers that you have selected. So go ahead and merge those. So now we have those together. Next we're gonna go ahead and grab our shape tool and make sure we have that little arrow, and go ahead and put that down here. And grabbing my selection tool, I'll hold Alt, make sure you see those double arrows, and head over to the side, and you can make a copy. Now if you keep doing that over and over again, it would take too long. So what I like to do is grab both of them and then make a copy of those two. And then now I have 4, so I can grab all 4 of them, and then I can make a copy of all those 4. And then now I have a lot more. Grab all of them, hold Alt, and then move all of those to make a copy of those, and then do the same thing and grab all of those and just go ahead and place it, oops, somewhere where, there we go. So now that we have all these, this is where you can start doing groups. Right click, and then, not right click, hold Shift, select the first one, then hold Shift, select the last one, right click, and let's see if it's in here, group from layers. So press that, and you can title it and put like arrows, click OK. And now all of these guys are in a group. So when you want to move it around, it moves all together. There we go. So that's pretty good. And then now the last thing we're going to do is go to File and Place. Well, that's not the last thing, but Place. And we can add another image here. So let's see what I have here. Random stuff. Done. I will go ahead and I guess add this here, Place, and click OK. And then I'll right click and create a clipping mask, and it's gonna clip it into the group that I currently have, and I just want to make sure that I can see all of it, and we're good there. These little rectangles are good here, and now what we're going to do is add that last filter to the image. So we'll go ahead and grab all of these guys and we'll press Command G, and that's gonna group everything into one solid group. And we'll go ahead and go to our adjustment layers and add a photo filter, and gives it that like orangey. You can choose how much you want it. I'll leave it just a little bit, maybe even go for a cool color this time. Yeah, this looks kind of cool. And then leave it like that, maybe at like 25, 24, and then just click from there OK. Now one of the things I forgot to add were those little sparks, and you guys should know how to do those already. So if you watched my last tutorial, so File, Place, I'll go ahead and go to Documents, Tutorials, Modern, Files Used, and I'll go ahead and place this guy. Click OK. Make sure we rasterize. After it's rasterized, we can select this little part right here and press Delete, Control D to deselect, and switch it over to Screen. Once we have it in screen, you can see that you can place it wherever you like. Then go to File and Place again. We'll grab the next one, Place, click OK, rasterize that one, and we'll select this little part, delete it, Control D to deselect, and switch it over to screen. And we can put this one somewhere over here, just like that. Now these are really orange. That's because they're outside of our group. So what we want to do is add those into our group. And now that they're in here, they're going to be part of this little blue tint. And there we go. We have something that looks kind of cool here, just like this one. Very simple tutorial, but you know, a lot of little cool techniques that you can use to create something like this. This is based off the other tutorial that we've already done. So hopefully it's a little easier to do something like this. And if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe, and see you on the next one. Peace out.